Matt. You got to keep everybody calm, right? You don't want to scare your team.
You got to keep them calm. But I always thought this as a quarterback. Physical mistakes, I wasn't going to yell at you, right? I wasn't going to get on you. But if it was mental mistakes, it's fair game. I was coming in at you, right? You can control those things. And I think when you have these drops and stuff like that, it's about encouraging guys to go out there and make plays. And I think you've seen that with Patrick. And I think it's one of those things that endears him to his teammates. There's a time and a place to get on him. Physical mistakes, to me, were never the time.
And that's leadership. And I got a chance to talk to him in a game in Germany where they're getting ready to play the Dolphins. And they were going through some drops at the time, and we're asking them, what are you saying to the guys? Are you yelling at them? What are you doing? He said, I continue to encourage them because no matter what, I'm going to continue to throw the ball their way. I have a lot of trust, faith, and belief in those guys because I watch what they do in practice every single day. And we watched him. We saw some frustrating moments from him throughout the season, but he's brought his guys through the other end, and we're seeing him step up. Look at Marquez Valdez-Scantling, the plays that he's made in the playoffs, and a lot of that has to do with your quarterback sticking with you.
That may be the most clearest example of his maturity. Just an example of him moving forward. Talk about him playing within the framework of his team. That's psychologically playing within the framework of what your team is able to produce. You have inconsistent receivers, and as a leader, he could have gone the other way on them. You know, I kind of use it like whenever someone doesn't like show their emotion and they're quiet, that actually makes me a little bit more worried. So, and in terms of accountability in the middle of a team, you're already feeling horrible if you make that mistake, if you drop that ball. So it's like you never want to let the other guy down. And so from a leadership standpoint, it speaks volumes, and it goes so long, goes so far in building that trust over long term if you don't chew somebody out, belittle someone, keep your faith in them, because you know what? Eventually you could be in a moment like this where you might need that person. So, and I know all those guys are itching to be that person to make that play for him, especially because of his leadership.
Did you guys feel that when Tony lined up offside, a mental error, right, that sort of thing, and he went off on the refs afterwards, that was much more to keep from going off on someone else? Could that be a big part of it? Did you guys feel that at all? Because I certainly felt that's what was going on. That Patrick, yes, he was upset, but that was much more, if I go there, I don't turn it on my guys, and my relationship's protected.
Well, you see that from head coaches too, right? Sometimes they fight their battles a little bit through the media rather than going directly at people. And I think it's, you know, great leadership, you have to understand who you're leading, right? That's the most important part. Everybody needs it a little bit differently. I remember guys like Julio Jones, me and him were going to talk about it privately, right? It was we were going to talk about that privately. Harry Douglas or Roddy White, we were doing it on the field, right? We were talking about it on the field, and it was going to be loud.
That's when you know you've made the cut, right? You don't get the public shame.
I was teammates with Harry, so I know what you're talking about.
Exactly what I'm saying.
Oh, sorry, Harry.
And to me, it's a credit, right? Just guys are different, and how they operate and what gets them going is different, and you have to know that as a leader.
It makes you feel old. That it's been nearly 30 years, Charles.
Why'd you look at me? Why was that where your eyes went?
You're so
You were
good with
looking at
history.
me. You were looking at me. I appreciated that. But yeah, isn't it hard to believe, though, that it's been nearly 3 decades?
That was my rookie year in the league. I remember it well. And then I went on for 4 straight years to get my brains beat in because I played for the Rams, and they were in our division. So there's no love lost that they haven't won one in a long time. But this San Francisco 49ers team is different. Like, they seem to be built right.
Yeah, and under Kyle Shanahan, they've been on this trajectory the whole time, and we talked about it before. Back in Super Bowl 54, they were on this stage, and they fell short. And there's numerous guys that are still on this roster. We talked about Kittle, Debo, and guys like that, Bosa, who are looking to get their first Super Bowl. And the fact that it's against the Chiefs, again, makes it that much more special.
Yeah, they want that redemption, right, against this Chiefs organization. But to me, when you hear Tayshaun Gibson talking about that, right, it's a proud organization, right, with lots of history. And there's something different to that handful of organizations that have 3, 4, 5, 6 championships. And you can feel it as a player when you're in a building like that.
And you know what else? They fall in line with the 49ers of the past because they're physical. Everyone always talked about being a wine and cheese team. They were never a wine and cheese team. Everyone always talked about with San Francisco because of Bill Walsh and the offense. But the defense would beat you up. And guess what? They beat you up on offense, too, under Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool that those current players got to meet true legends of the game.
So many of those star players, though, like, you know, that was mentioned earlier. I mean, this team has a dynamic aspect to it that has so many different stars that are making plays on offense, confusing and frustrating for defensive guys to even deal with.
No doubt.